Hey, what is going on, everyone? So Funcom was kind enough to invite me to their playtest of their new Dune game, Dune Awakening. I had access to the game for about 2 weeks, and this is a beta version of the game, so please just keep that in mind throughout the rest of the video. These things are subject to change. And of course, if this video ends up helping you out and you're looking forward to more Dune content, be sure to like the video down below and subscribe for more Dune Awakening content. So what we'll be doing in this video is I'm going to do a menu breakdown of Dune Awakening. I typically like doing these for early access titles, especially ones where there's a lot going on, because I find that new players typically are confused about certain things related to the UI and menus. So we're going to go over everything that I know about the UI and menus, and hopefully it helps you out when you're getting started in Dune Awakening. All right, so we'll start with the map here, and we're going to work our way down all the way to customization, and I'll show you guys everything that's involved with each tab. And then at the end of the video, we'll also take a look at the UI while you're playing the game, so I can explain what you're looking at while you're watching some gameplay. So in the beta version of the game, we only had access to 3 regions on the map. There will definitely be more than that with the full release of the game. So I wasn't able to explore the entire map here, but let's take a look at everything that is involved with the map itself. So everything that you're seeing here that's been uncovered is something that I've either explored or I've used something called a probe launcher to shoot a probe into the air and it will scan the area. I'll show you a little bit more about that once we get to the inventory tab. But you can see this is the area of the Eastern Vermilius Gap. And on the left side here, you have your area completion percentage. You have a bunch of different points of interest that you can go and visit. It also gives you some information about the resource density and what type of resources are in this area, as well as the collectibles on the left side there. And you can also go ahead and zoom in on the map, and you'll be able to see a bunch of those different icons. And you also get this fantastic 3-dimensional kind of isometric view, which I find really useful, especially since a lot of the structures in this game are like these organic rock structures. So sometimes when you're kind of, traversing them, you might get a little turn backwards because things look a little bit similar. So I really appreciate this 3-dimensional view of the map because it can make it a little bit easier to understand how you're actually supposed to get to these certain points of interest. Now, if you're wondering what all these icons mean, obviously you can just hover over them, but there's also a legend. If you hit L on the keyboard, you'll see that there's a big legend here of every single icon that you can find and exactly what it means. You also do have the option to filter certain things. So for example, if maybe you didn't want to see your party members on the map, or maybe you didn't want to see certain resources like ore, for example, you can go ahead and hide that, or salvageable items. So you can go ahead and filter that however you would like to. You can also place markers on the map. However, it's a little limited. You can basically just place this down and it will show up in your compass. But if you want to remove it, you can just hold it and it will remove it. But I would love a way to place some custom icons down on the map that permanently stay there. I'm not sure if that is planned, but I would love to see that added to the game. Also, if you're wondering what these big red circles are, this is drum sand. So if you walk over these or if you ride a vehicle over it, it's going to bang a loud drum, which can attract the sandworm and make it a little bit more aggressive getting to that location. So you'll just have to watch out for that on the map. Also, something very interesting about the map, and you can see a little hint to this at the top, it says a Coriolis storm has reset the map, and hopefully I pronounced that correctly. So this area down here was actually an area I had already explored, but then this Coriolis storm came by and it actually covered up this part of the map again, and it also changes the layout and kind of resets the map for you. So if you want to go and re-explore that area, you can, and things should be a little bit different, which is a really interesting idea. Now, if we head over to the inventory tab here, you can see this is broken down into 3 different areas. You have your backpack on the left, your loadout in the middle, and your character on the right. So starting with the backpack, the way the backpack works is that you have a certain number of slots you can fill up, and there's also a volume meter here. So if, for example, you have a lot of heavy items here, you're going to fill up your volume before you fill up your slots, and you're going to max out your backpack, so you're not going to be able to add anything else to it. So you're going to have to keep an eye on your volume here. It's also shown on the left side as well, and they also do have some different sorting options, which is great. So you can sort by newest. You can also sort by volume. So if you do need to drop something that's a little too heavy, you can go ahead and do that. And then you can also sort alphabetically, or you can just have it be unsorted. Now, currently, it doesn't actually save the sorting option that you last used. Hopefully it does, but once you go back into your backpack, it's always going to show unsorted. So hopefully for the full launch of the game, they'll have it remember your last sorting option. Also, you'll see these icons in the bottom left here. These are ones we'll cover with the UI later, but essentially this is your hydration, this is your power, this is your stamina, and this is your health. Now you have your loadout in the middle. This is a little interesting to me because it's based on a wheel, and I believe that they're doing this so that it can help controller players out because there is controller support for this game. But interesting enough, I do believe that this makes it a little bit confusing for PC players, at least for me, but it goes in a clockwise fashion. So this is essentially going to tie to your hotbar that's in the bottom right there. So 1 through 8 is going to be 1 through 8 right here, but it just took me a second to kind of wrap my head around how to actually assign things to the right slots that I want. Also, you'll notice that there is an emote wheel as well, so you can go ahead and go over to emotes and you can assign different emotes here on this emote wheel. And then you have your character shown right here. You can see it says neutral. I believe you can join different houses. I currently have these locked. I'm not sure if they're available in the beta. I haven't found them yet, but I imagine that will move from neutral to something else, if I were to join one of these houses. And then on the right side, you have your character setup. So you got your normal kind of armor here, your headpiece, your chest piece, your gloves, and your boots. And then you also have some other slots here on the right. So this is a shield that you can get. This is your utility item. So I currently have something that basically helps preserve my momentum when I'm jumping around. Now this uses power, and that's why it's important to have a power pack on you as well, because this is going to be using power, which is this yellow icon that's in the bottom left right here. And then there's also some other slots here where I haven't been able to slot anything in there yet, but I imagine you'll be able to put some more tools and utilities there. And then you do have your character stats right here as well, so you can just get a numerical look at your stats for your survival items and your equipment. Now if we head over to the crafting tab here, you can see all the different schematics that you can craft on your person. There is a fabricator you can get and some other items at your base where you can craft more things, but there are some things that you can craft just directly on your person. So these are all your essentials right here. So for example, like a heal kit you can craft directly on your person. And then you can also go over to your water discipline tab for those schematics, your combat schematics, your construction schematics, and your exploration schematics right here. So this is pretty self-explanatory. You can craft, one item. You can craft a certain amount if you would like to, or you can craft the max amount that you currently have on you. And then there is a queue system on the right as well. So if I were to go ahead and craft this, you can see that there's a queue. I can click pause if I want to, and then I can click resume, and this will get directly added to my backpack. Now let's head over to the research tab here. So this is where you're going to be getting new items for your base and for your character. Now, when I first started playing the beta, they actually gave me the option to have all these research items already unlocked. And if I had the materials for it, I could just go ahead and craft it. Or the other option, which is the one I chose, is that these research schematics or these research items will be unlocked based on your story progression. So you can see one of these is locked right now. It says locked journey, the second trial of Akol. I don't know how to say that exactly. So that's what I chose just because I figured it'd be a more natural progression. I'm not sure if that option is going to be available in the full game, but I just wanted to point it out here. So you have your suggested tab here for your different items. Now these don't actually craft the items, but they just make it available for you to craft at a fabricator or on your person, depending on what the type of item is. You also have your water discipline tab here, combat tab, you have construction, you have exploration, you got your vehicles here, these are a bunch of different vehicle parts. Then you also have your unique items as well. So these are, they're found across Arrakis or on the exchange, which I believe is going to be a kind of social hub where you can go and sell things, kind of like a trading post. I believe that's what the exchange is. We don't have access to a lot of the social features in the beta, so I haven't been able to test that out. But these unique items are kind of self-explanatory. Then we'll head over to the skills tab here. So this is what's going to be tied to what you choose as a mentor when you create your character. So I chose Trooper as my mentor. So I have access to the Trooper abilities and the Trooper skill tree here. Now, these other ones, this is, I'm not going to pronounce these right. I'm sorry. Mentat, Planetologist, Bene Gesserit, and Swordmaster. So none of those are my mentors, so I can't actually unlock any of these. You can see it says unlock tree at the basic Swordmaster trainer. So I don't have access to that right now, as far as I know. And then there are different things that you can unlock here. You can unlock abilities. So currently I have 2 ability slots unlocked, but you can have 3. And then you also have techniques, which are kind of more like passive almost in a way, but there also are some passive options here as well. Like you can see this says passive right above field maintenance, but there are certain things that say techniques. So really the techniques are kind of just additional kind of things that you can do to your base abilities, if that makes any sense. So for example, it says while you're suspended in the air for this one, any attacks using weapons will have a damage bonus. So obviously being like suspended in the air is something that you can do with your utility pack. So that's kind of like a base kind of ability that you sort of have, and then this kind of adds on to that. And then you can also see that for some of these here, they actually have multiple levels, so you can view the next levels here. If you would like to see kind of, you know, what the buffs are. And you can see it says you can unlock this upgrade at the advanced trooper trainer. Not sure if that's available in the beta yet either. I haven't been able to find it, but you are able to upgrade some of these techniques and some of these passive abilities. And yes, you can respec your skill tree. It says right here that you can only do this every 48 hours. There doesn't seem to be a cost to this as far as I'm aware. And it does say no cooldown, so maybe that's just something in the beta right here, but it does say this can only be done every 48 hours, so I'd imagine that's technically the cooldown, but you can respec your skill tree. And then hopping into the journey tab here, this is really what you're going to want to look at when you're looking for something to do. You're not maybe sure what you should be doing. You have your kind of main quests here. You can have faction quests after you join a house. You've got miscellaneous quests that you can pick up, and then you have your kind of region-specific quests, and then these are kind of the starter quests that you have in the beginning of the game. So this is all under the story tab here. So these are going to be a little bit more lore based. You also do have contracts you can get. So there's areas you can go to where there's a kind of a contract terminal, and you're able to pick up these kind of mini quests for XP and for currency and some unique rewards. So you can go ahead and do some of these specific contracts. Some of them are just kind of fetch quests. Other ones are going to actually kill like a certain person. You know, there's a decent variety of these contract quests that you can get. Then you have your codex here. This is essentially just giving you kind of more information about the things that you found in the world. If you're into the lore of Dune, you can definitely go ahead and you know, kind of have your fill by reading through all this sort of stuff. And then you also have a bunch of different kind of just basic tutorial things. These are kind of the windows that pop up as you're learning things. So if you ever need to go back and you're like, oh, you know, what are the sand hazards about? You can go back and click on sand hazards and you can read that original prompt that popped up during the tutorial. And then lastly, you have your customization tab. So you're able to click on either your loadout items, your ranged weapons, your melee weapons, your garments, or your vehicles. So if you click on, let's just click on this range weapon right here. I actually had these swatches already unlocked. Apparently you'll also be able to get some variants of weapons as well. So this is really just where you can apply your cosmetics and you know, different cosmetic items to your gear and your weapons. Something else that is really great about every single one of these tabs as well, and it's something that maybe you've already noticed, but there is always a help option in the bottom right. So if you're in the map tab and you click on help, it'll actually break down, you know, everything that you're looking at here and explain it to you in a pretty simple way. So yeah, that is essentially all the kind of menus in this part of the game. Now, if we take a look at the UI here, so in the top left, you have your story quests and your contracts. That's pretty self-explanatory there. In the top center, you have your compass. So that's where Your waypoints will show up, or just points of interest in general. In the bottom right, you have your hotbar. Pretty self-explanatory. We kind of covered that before for the items that you want to, be using more often. In the bottom center, you have your abilities. So like I said, I only have 2 slots unlocked, but I imagine once that 3rd slot is unlocked, the 3rd one will show up there as well. And then on the bottom left, that is probably going to be the thing that you're trying to pay attention to the most, because it has your hydration level, which is that blue bar that's on the left side there. You might also notice there's a really thin bar next to that bigger blue bar. That one's not filled up currently, but that is because of the armor I'm wearing. I'm wearing a still suit, which will collect the sweat on my character, and it will actually build up a water reserve for me in that thin bar. So if I'm ever in a situation where I really need to stay hydrated and I'm running out of hydration, I can use that kind of water reserve bar and fill up my hydration, which is really cool. So the green icon that is right next to the hydration one is your stamina. And I've only really found that the stamina is used mostly just when you're climbing. So when you're running, it actually doesn't use your stamina, which is great. It'll actually replenish your stamina when you're either standing still or running. So that is definitely useful. On the right, you have your health, pretty self-explanatory there. And then in the bottom, you have your power, which is again associated to that power pack that is in your inventory. So there you have it, folks. That is a menu breakdown of Dune Awakening, at least in this beta version. I hope this video helped you out. Hopefully I wasn't rambling too much, but I'm trying to provide as much information as I can. And I know, people are generally kind of interested in these sort of things. So hopefully it helped you out. If it did help you out, be sure to drop a like and subscribe down below. I'll definitely be publishing more Dune Awakening content. And again, thank you to Funcom for giving me early access to this playtest and this beta version of the game. There also is a large beta coming for Dune Awakening on May 9th, the weekend of May 9th, and I will have extra keys to give away in my Discord community. So if you're not in my Discord and you want to try to win a beta key to the Dune Awakening beta, be sure to join the Discord. That is always linked down in the description below. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next video.